Do you remember what you did yesterday, or maybe last week, or last summer? Let's think about it because today we are going to talk about completed actions in the past. As for example, I did my homework yesterday, or I lived in Brazil for 2 years. I finished work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim. She always played the piano when she was a child. Yesterday I had my breakfast at 9 o'clock, and during the day I watched TV with my mom. As you can see, in the last example I used two verbs. Had, which is the past form of the verb have, and watched. As you can see, the verb had completely changed. But in the verb watched, I just added ed at the end of the verb. This is because there are two types of verbs in the past, irregular verbs and regular verbs. But what's the difference between them? Most regular verbs are spelled like the present tense, but you have to add d, ed or ied at the end of the verb. These rules are in the PowerPoint presentation, so you can check it whenever you want. In this case, the pronunciation also changes, and we have some rules as well. We have three different ways of pronouncing the ed endings of the verbs. The first one is t, t, as in looked, looked. Then we have the, as in enjoyed, enjoyed. And finally we have the it sound, as in needed, waited. That is the most simple one. These rules, as I said before, are also in the PowerPoint, so you can practice. I know that at first it's kind of difficult, but it's just a matter of practice. And that's all I can say about the regular verbs. So now we'll move on to the irregular verbs. With irregular verbs, it's a different story. Irregular verbs do not follow the same system of adding ed at the end of the verb. This means that the spelling is a little bit different. Some irregular verbs follow patterns, such as drink, drunk, spring, sprang, know, knew, but this doesn't mean that they are predictable. However, the good thing about past is that you don't have to add the s at the end of the verb, and you use the same verb regardless of the person or of the people that you're talking about. To illustrate this, I have the following sentence. In present actions, we say, she does her homework every day, and I do my homework every day. But when we use past simple, we say, she did her homework, and I did my homework. As you can see, we use the same verb. And the only exception here is the verb to be, that we have already studied in the past units. And what about the negative sentences and the questions? If you want to make questions, you have to use the auxiliary did, and you have to use the base form of the verb. As for example, did you do your homework? Or did she do her homework? Did they do their homework? You don't say did she did her homework or did she does her homework. So you have to use did and the base form of the verb. And if you want to make negative sentences, you have to use the auxiliary verb did not or the contraction didn't and the base form of the verb. As for example, she didn't do her homework yesterday. They didn't do their homework yesterday. In case you have problems to recognize past simple or past actions, there are a number of words and phrases that are used to show that an action or a situation happened in the past. For example, we have last, ago, and yesterday. For example, last year I went to my grandmother's house, and some years ago I came to this city. So today we have looked at how to talk about past actions and past events. So I'm pretty sure that now you can answer the following questions. What did you do yesterday and what did you do last summer? In case you want to talk about your last trip, there are some useful vocabulary that you can find in the PowerPoint presentation. So now it's your turn to practice. You will find some exercises for this week and you have to send it to me or upload it to the Aula Virtual by Saturday.